There's a lot of science that has shown, especially recently, there's a lot of research going on about how the way you visualize something is actually just as powerful as a physical rep. So if you go out and you take 5 shots physically, science is now finding that if you have a real detailed, vivid visualization of that moment, you can get the same benefit from just living the rep in your brain as you do by getting that physical rep.
Hey guys, Ian, here's Erwin and Pat. We're back. So to continue with talking about the confidence segment, and the last one we talked about was belief in self, right? We had some great discussion points in believing yourself, you know, embracing failure. And today we want to talk about preparation, right? And one of the things with preparation, I always feel like for me, Pat, this is a big one. I always say like, hey, you get a chance to prepare, you prepare the heck out of it. You only got this one chance, and prepare the best as you can, and gain your confidence, have that belief in yourself, and just like I said in the previous episode, talk in the mirror if you're doing a pitch or presentation, or keep practicing right on the soccer field and the sports that you're doing. So one of the things for preparation, Pat, I would say, how much of your confidence in these big moments through the years is actually just you knowing, like, hey, you outworked the moment beforehand, again, preparing, thinking it through. What would you say
Yeah.
is part of that process, right? That you think about in preparing, and what can you share?
Well, I think preparation is the key to success when you're out there competing on the soccer field or in life, right? It's having the confidence to know I've done this before in a low stress environment. So it's taking the reps. You can think of your favorite athlete and their success. They probably have some story about how they spent hours on the court, on the soccer field, or wherever they were at practicing and honing their craft. And preparation, I think it's what gives you that confidence. Like, I've done it before, I've been here before, and now I get to take my shot on the big stage under the lights. And I think that this is everything you do in life, right? It's preparing for the speech you have. It's preparing to meet with a client. It's making sure that you spend more time preparing for the moment so that when the moment happens, you can be cerebral, you can be in the moment and present, and just allow your muscle memory to take over and allow all of your training to take over for that moment.
And you're absolutely correct too with the preparation part. And I think one of the things, when I was playing sports, and I played football, I felt like the same thing was, hey, if I'm not preparing, or you don't have the practice and you're practicing plays, right? How do you expect to do well, right? It is, like, as you said, right? Preparation leads to success. You cannot be successful if you're not preparing. And I think some of the things that you mentioned it earlier, it ties into, to life and clients and stuff. I went through a lot of that stuff where I would, again, taking into our previous episode of embracing failure and learning, right? And just applying it. I would say, okay, what did we not do so well with product launches? What did we not do so well? Or did I not do so well talking to, clients or to investors or whatnot, and changing it around, taking data points or examples of what we've all noted, again, either on the sports field, in business, or in life, and then tie it, okay, this didn't really work. Let me try this. And there's a lot of different things to prepare for, right? And it could get overwhelming at times. A lot of folks, even for me, I was overwhelmed before, until I was able to get and build that confidence, right? And that self-confidence to say, okay, you got to prepare, just go with what you do well. And I think, that's part of how we're wired, brain chemistry, right? Like, just be simple and plain. And
Yeah.
you mentioned it earlier, right? Being able to affirm, just affirmation and visualization. What's your process with that? Pat, with how you go through it. Like, again, what's actually happening, you know, in the brain, in the mind, right? And when you're going through and you're affirming it, right? In your experience, right? What can you share?
Well, there's a lot of science that has shown, especially recently, there's a lot of research going on about how the way you visualize something is actually just as powerful as a physical rep. So if you go out and you take 5 shots physically, science is now finding that if you have a real detailed, vivid visualization of that moment, you can get the same benefit from just living the rep in your brain as you do by getting that physical rep. Visualization is like key to your preparation, because it's, again, I've been in this moment. So I have multiple sports stories of how visualization has helped me out, whether it's like preparing and seeing myself score the PK in the big game, right? It's a long golf putt that sinks in the hole. But one of the fun ones I have in my past is that I played semi-pro football as a kicker. Kickers have a funny life in the football game because there's all this stuff going on, all these big moments. Everybody's crushing into each other. And then the kicker has to roll out there and just be calm and cool and make this kick. And I was in the state championship game and I was visual making the winning kick, all the pressure on the line. I kept visualizing it the night before. And sure enough, we get into the final last play of the game. I get my number called to go kick the game winning field goal, and I nailed it. And my team lifted me on their shoulders and carried me off the field like Rudy. And it was funny because that was part of my visualization too. So it was just so funny how when you really spend the time visualizing how much it pays off. I have countless stories of it, and everybody should be using visualization to their benefit. It's a great tool.
I love that. I love that, man. That what a moment to be able to be carried on by your teammates on their shoulders, right? When you do the game winner, right? That's awesome. And to what you said, right? The visualization. There's a self-talk that we all do, right? Like, hey, pump each other up, pumping myself up, pumping ourselves up, even if it's in private. But, some people like will talk about it, but does it have to be believed? Does it have to be repeated? Right. I think it's both, right? You got to believe it. You got to repeat it, visualize it, right? Visualize the moment, and what's your thoughts on that? Are you talking about like, hey, having to say, believe it, believe what you're saying, or just repeat it? So it's a constant like, oh, okay, I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to hit that game winning field goal. I'm going to hit this. Now you're saying it, but do you believe it? I think you have to do both. You got to believe it. You say it, you visualize it, execute, right?
I agree. I agree. Again, we're coming back to self belief, tying into confidence. It's having positive self talk. It's being excited for the moment. It's visualizing the moment. It's preparing for the moment. I think all these things lead back to just like having this positive outlook and this excitement to challenge and take on life and not being afraid of any of it. And so, absolutely, you got to believe it. And sometimes that's hard. And I think we have a plan to talk about that in another segment. But absolutely, belief in self is where it's at.
Pat, thanks again. And we're talked about preparation, visualization here. And we're talking about the confidence as a pillar here. And the next one we'll be talking through, guys, is mental self coach as we wrap up this series of under confidence. But again, on behalf of Pat, I just want to thank you guys again for listening in. Keep sending your comments. We love the feedback. Please subscribe. Please send us messages. Follow and ask for some one-on-one coaching, one-on-one meetings. We are here. We're not selling you guys anything, a book or any sheets or anything that you're gonna have to read. We will give you the time. So, Pat, thanks again for joining, and everybody. We look forward to the next one. We'll be talking about mental self coach. Okay, have a good one.